I mean, when you talk about sort of a brand like Pepsi or Gatorade specifically in this, it seems like brands are becoming a little bit more creative, maybe even a little more bit more demanding when they're talking to leagues and talking to teams. Why is that? And is it just sort of innovation, or what's going on there?
I credit it with innovation. I think in part it's where the marketplace is driving them. In many ways, there's competition that didn't exist for many of these companies 20 years ago, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. There's a global marketplace. I think digital media, in essence, the same thing that's happened to the NBA, where we're competing against entertainment options in 215 countries and territories now through delivering our games on tablets and smartphones. Those brands are competing in the same way, and they're looking to differentiate themselves, and they're looking to break through, and premium live sports is one of the ways to do that.
And one of the ways that you have sort of pushed outside is to even go into the virtual world. Video games obviously has driven a lot of sort of consumption and maybe even fandom. Where do you see that going next when you have an eSports league at this point?
Right, so just last week we announced the NBA 2K eSports League, and so the notion there is, again, to take advantage of this huge user base we already have with our NBA 2K game, but now not NBA players, but to have professional gamers come in and compete. And so it'll be the E-Mavericks against the E-Bucks. They'll sign players, we'll have a draft. And one of the advantages, though, in the e-gaming virtual world is, unlike the NBA where you have to be an exceptional athlete, maybe 7 feet tall, maybe 6 feet tall, at least 5 feet tall.
Right.
In the world of e-gaming, you can be of any size, shape, nationality, ethnicity, where you can live wherever and only come together for certain competitions. You can practice on your own endlessly. You can, in essence, be any age. So it opens up this huge pool of consumers to us, both who are going to be competing in the matches, but also there's increasingly, I'm sure you've followed this, a huge following of e-gaming competitions, whether it's on Twitch, whether it's the new league that Turner Sports has created, what they call the E-League. I know Strauss Zelnick of Take-Two told me there's roughly 250 million people now in the world that are closely following these e-gaming competitions. So it's an exciting new business for us. We intend to launch in 2018. We're still figuring out exactly how the competition is going to work, but I'm really excited about it.
So you mentioned this idea of sort of global consumption. I mean, how does that sort of shift your revenue as a league over time? And how are the owners thinking about it? How are you thinking about it? And what's that mix look like 5-10 years from now?
I think it's inevitable that the split will continue to change. I mean, we're somewhere over 20% now of our revenue is generated outside the United States. China is our #1 market outside the United States. Canada has become a huge market for us. Latin America, Europe, we're increasingly doing things in Africa, India as well. And so we look at the world, I'm sure, like a lot of other multinational corporations that are based in the United States. It's okay, US is less than 5% of the global population. Here's our opportunity. But we're also seeing it in terms of our players. I mean, think of the impact Yao Ming had, for example, on our audience in China. We now hit a point this season where 25% of our players are born outside the United States. And that's only going to grow because there's that large a pool of players playing outside the United States competing for these jobs.
Yeah.